Hi everyone, welcome back to the Everyday Patch. It's been a little while since my last video. The 6 weeks holidays has been absolutely hectic, and as you can probably tell, the garden has definitely taken a bit of a back seat. So in this week's video, we're going to be going through the garden, having a proper look round, see what's been happening while I've been busy, what's survived, what's still producing, what needs clearing out, and what just needs a little bit of TLC. So as you can see in the front garden, most of it has pretty much survived. It's all looking pretty well. The salady stuff is wilted, but we can fix that. This is the back garden, just as a little quick tour around to see the damage that's been done over the past few weeks. The tomatoes and the raspberries are looking fairly well. I've got a few tomato plants in the back, and on the back doesn't get as much sun for as long. So it does seem to have done them well, although that they're not reddening up as fast as the ones at the front is the only difference with the tomatoes being at the back. But as you can see, the courgette plants have took a battering in the background there. They have got a white mildew powder on them, but as you can see, the tomatoes are doing fairly well. They just need putting in better places so that they can catch that sun a bit more. So that is something we need to work on in this video, moving those around so that they get that bit more sun. And as you can also see, when I netted my brassicas, it has made a huge difference. There is some renewable growth there on those plants, and the pumpkin's doing really well. It's just plodding along there. It's quite heavy as well now. It's getting some weight to it. I've not seen many other flowers being produced. There is a few at the top here that seem to be starting, so hopefully we'll get another one. And as you can see, the damage to the courgettes is the worst of it. This is just a mildew white powder, and I think that's just from like watering and scorching and things like that. So all we're going to do is check to see if there's new growth, like on this one here, where you can see those new fruits still forming and green leaves coming out. If there is, then we'll just trim back the diseased leaves and work from there. Cucumbers are doing quite well, hiding at the back here, and they could actually be picked, but I have cucumber in the house already, so I'm going to wait until that starts to run out and then pick these. And some more tomatoes hiding up there. I did have extra tomato plants to give to a friend because unfortunately her garden hadn't survived as well. So she's planning to pick up a couple of those tomato plants and finish those off for me in her garden. And the peas are obviously looking a little bit crispy, but the plan was with those to let them dry out anyway for seeds for next year, so that's not a major issue. Caterpillars have been a major issue this year though, and this year I found that it's not just the normal green caterpillars that I found. I found quite a lot of these black and green spiky ones and some like yellowy spiky ones on my rhubarb plant, which I've never ever had a caterpillar eating my rhubarb plant leaves before, so that's a new one for me and something to learn on, ready for next year and protect those. And the carrots have also been nibbled, so they are just at the minute looking like green stalks. The golden courgette plant there, I think is ready to come out. It's not really producing anything new. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the destruction of the garden. Let's move on and get the front garden sorted. So I set up my tripod. I've left Isaac's little pot at the minute because I'm going to let him decide what he wants to do with that. I'm just going to top it up with some compost later. I've got my little bag there, so what I'm going to do is chop off the sunflower heads, pop them in, and then I'll pop them in the garden in a sunny, airy area so that they can dry out properly there. I did actually make a huge mistake here, if you catch me doing it. Ready? Oops. I just cut off a sunflower that hadn't finished growing. So I have just shoved it back in the soil there, but later on in the video you will see I do take it out and we put it in a vase instead, or a vase. But yeah, Isabella wasn't impressed when I told her I'd accidentally snipped off her flower. Although now that she's seen that it has started to open its petals in the vase with water, she's quite happy now. So what we will do with all this space is, because we leave the roots in, I will just add another layer of compost, and then in a couple of days' time I will add in some more salady stuff for over the winter, some radishes and stuff like that, and lamb's lettuce and things that can keep us going, and start looking at planting some more onion seeds and things like that, and garlic about this time of the year, ready for the next season coming along. So as you can see, I'm just going along cutting off any leaves on the tomato plants that are wilted or spotted or damaged or just looking a little bit tired. And there's also plenty of dried marigold seeds. There's my lovely neighbour. So we'll do this with all the tomato plants. I've just gone along and just chopped off anything that isn't doing so well or is finished. And a lot of the yellow tomatoes were orange, so they were well past due. With the sun that we've had at the front, it like shines all day from like midday. So we did extremely well with tomatoes at the front this year, which was my test. But with the sun we've had anyway, it has just been incredible. Really bright red tomatoes off the red ones, and as you can see, some really big juicy plum tomatoes there as well that are yellowing up. So yeah, the front is definitely the place to put my tomatoes and sunflowers and things like that. I think the plan next year will be to try and do some corn and focus more on the salady things, because we don't really use as many tomatoes as we'd like to think we do. But I will still grow some, but just not as many as I have done this year. It's just a close-up of me removing some of them leaves. Most of the time you can just pull the leaves off. If they're ready to come off, they will just come off. But the odd time you'll find one's turned into a bendy stem. So the one at the back there was Bella's one that I've cut. So it's just Isaac's one left in there at the minute. There's my tomatoes. I've got a couple of little tomatoes on the yellow one left there. So I'm going to keep that going for another couple of weeks and just see how it goes. But I'm half contemplating just cutting it off and giving the other tomato plants a bit more room. So there's my sunflower heads in there. Like I say, I'll dry them out. They're the tomatoes that I managed to get off the plants. And then, like I say, I'm just going to throw a layer of compost within all of the pots and the trays and troughs. Just gives it that little bit of a nutrient boost. And then we will do a compost tea feed and a good old water. It is due to rain in the next couple of days, so I'm hoping if I do a compost tea feed tonight, the rain will help with that over the next few days and give them a bit of a boost and get them going. And there I've removed Bella's flower. So I decided it was better to just put it in a vase rather than try and hope it will regrow roots, because sunflowers aren't really known for regrowing the roots. That doesn't really do well with them. Not that I've ever had a good experience in regrowing sunflower roots. So because it had the flower head, I just took it out and I thought we'll pop it in a vase and enjoy it indoors. And as you can see, what I'm doing is just getting rid of anything that's died off, pulling up the big chunks of weeds and grass and stuff, because I'll fill those spaces with the lettuce, seeds and things like that in the next week or so. And as my larger my larger strawberry plant that was in this front trough is like a 3 crown, so it's got 3 separate plants to the one plant. So because it's finished fruiting, I have lifted and separated these 3. So they're still in the same trough, but they're just separated, so that hopefully next year when they finish fruiting, we'll get a few more extra plants from that. And obviously I've got my young seedlings there that we did this year that will fruit next year. Which I may, even at the end of the season, separate those out so that they've got more space, but we will see. Depends how busy we get. Just using a little bit of that water that was in the bucket. That catches the rainwater from my drain pipe, which drips. So that was from like a few days ago. And I thought, oh, I need to put all my little bits that I've pulled up in the tub. So I just poured it out. It was easier. The thing I love about gardening so much is that you can know everything, and then you can get a year like this where it's being scorching hot, where we've struggled so much with wildfires and things like that, and it changes your perspective on gardening all over again. Especially living in the UK when we struggle to get tomatoes ripe usually, especially in our garden, without a greenhouse and things like that, because we haven't got the space for that. So we do usually struggle with tomatoes, but this year it's just been incredible. But at the same time, back-breaking, taking all the water out to water them. And even so, doing this front garden, I could feel how dry it was at the top. Underneath, you could still feel that there was moisture in the soil, but at that very top, it was almost cracked. So that's why I did the extra layer of compost. So when we got inside, I gave Bella's sunflower a little snip, took off a few of the leaves and put it in a cute little glass milk bottle and popped it on the kitchen windowsill. So we'll be able to watch that come up in the next few days. Cracking on in the back garden, we started with the courgettes. So as I said, all we're going to do is those that have still got healthy growth coming at the top, we're going to snip the mildew and the scorched leaves down, and then re-support them. And we should get a couple more courgettes off it before the end of the season. You see my pumpkin in the background there, it's doing well. Next year, I think my plan is to put all of my courgettes and things in that main bed. And then put my brassicas in these big tubs and then net them that way. Because that crock pot, because of I think it's because of the wood and the way it sits on the floor. No matter how much you net it, the slugs and the caterpillars still seem to find a way in. Whereas they seem to have struggled with the pots and things like that. Once they've got the net over them to be able to get in. So that's the plan for next year. You've always got to think ahead, because as the end of the season comes, we'll be putting in our winter crop of salads and things like that, and working out where things are going to go for next year. You don't want to have like the same things growing in the same spots, because I tend to companion plant quite a bit. My crop plot is usually pretty good for anything. And then all of my tubs at the end of the season, once they finish growing, I empty them out into a big tub, a little bit of blood and bone mixed into it, a little bit of fresh compost mixed in, and then it's good to go to be potted again. So I don't worry too much about my larger pots. Or for this instance, with my larger tubs, whilst they've had squashes in, I will simply just do another layer. I'll put some food scraps in, I'll put some straw on, and then another layer of soil. And then while my winter veg is growing, that'll be breaking down, ready for spring again. So I wondered whether my carrots were growing because they'd been absolutely demolished. So we've got some tiny, tiny little ones in this tub, which normally I do get them a bit longer, even in the tubs. But I've picked 4 here, 1 each for the guinea pigs, to let them have a little nibble and enjoy those. I also harvested my golden courgette, which was a bit more of a stripy courgette. And I've actually removed that because there was no new growth, so I've decided that that's done, it's finished, it's at the end of its season. It was in a smaller pot, to be fair, but we've done really well with normal courgettes and the white courgette. As you can see, it wasn't looking so good there. And of course I had to try the carrots for myself. They were absolutely beautiful, which is a shame because they're just so little. We might be able to do something with some baby carrots on one of our teas this week maybe and pull them up. But they are nice to just go out in the garden and pick a little carrot and have a nibble. So at this point we're moving on to the long white courgettes. Now we have had about 2 or 3 off these plants. The guinea pigs seem to like them just the same, and I tend to use courgettes by like grating them up into stews and soups and things like that, and because the kids don't notice them then. But there's plenty of things that you can do with courgettes. People make like the chips with them as well. So if you've got any courgette recipes, feel free to share them with me. Like I say, I think next year we're going to really focus on things that we genuinely use daily, like the salads and things, keeping on top of those. I really, really, really want to try doing the sweet corn. So I think using the crock plot for that, the L shape, the large one, with squashes and corn in, with some beans, do the 3 sisters in it. I think that could work really well. Hopefully. Because I found that the caterpillars have gone nowhere near the squashes, and I presume that that is because they protect themselves with those little spikes. Because if you've noticed on your squash and your courgette and your pumpkin plants, they tend to have like quite spiky stems and leaves. So the caterpillars have just gone nowhere near them. I am still surprised that the caterpillars have been eating the rhubarb though. That's blowing my mind. And you're always learning in the garden. So I've just done the exact same with that. I've just snipped off the leaves that were looking a bit sorry for themselves. Popped a larger stick in so that I could wrap the stem around, and they're ready to go again, looking a lot better. And as I say, we'll give everything a bit of a compost tea feed in the next couple of days. Everything's looking really, really good inside the net. You can even see the carrot leaves for the odd ones I put in, popping back up there. The cabbage is coming back. The lavender's looking really crispy, so I give that a little bit of a snip and then ran my hands through it. I find running my hands through it just helps to anything that is dead and ready to come off will just come away. So yeah, that'll hopefully come back again next year. Normally I do like to snip the ends off a bit earlier and use them, create things with them. But yeah, the sun got to them before I did this year. The peas are starting to crisp up, so the next couple of weeks we'll be able to harvest those and save them for next year. So they will be left to stay crispy. That will continue, that's fine. That's what we wanted them to do. All the caterpillars around the garden. If you know any of these types of butterflies, by the way, please do let me know. I was really surprised this year at my rhubarb leaves because normally they don't get touched. But yeah, the really spiky caterpillars seem to like them. And the crock pot's doing really, really well. So a few weeks ago we did the leeks and put a couple of onions in. So I'm just popping these that I found on the side today. There's some spring onions and leeks, but I mean the leeks were looking a bit oniony, so I'm not sure. But I'll put them in anyway. We'll see what happens. If they're done, they're done. We'll pull them up in a couple of weeks. If they're not done, then at least we've given them that second lease of life in the crock pot. As I say, this pretty much takes on anything companion planting. We do that with most of our tubs, but more so in the crock pot, because I just think doing lots of different things together, it makes that space is used more, and you're not worrying then so much about, oh, but I have brassicas in it now, I can't have this in it and I can't have that. Just mix it all up, and then the soil it doesn't seem to be as bothered. It sort of, each plant then does its bit and maintains that level. And then we will mulch with some food scraps and whatnot over the winter, and some straw and stuff like that, so that'll help to add nutrients in it ready for next year as well. Or you can alternatively go for a green mulch, which you can get a sort of floor covering seed. Things like cresses and stuff like that, and the microgreen sort of families, they do a really good job of carpeting the soil. And then come the end of your winter season, you can just literally just flip them upside down, and they will add all the nutrients into the soil. What I'm just doing here in the video, I'm just lifting out those little lettuce seeds that we'd sprinkled in there a couple of weeks ago. So the cat keeps sitting on them. So I keep having to rescue them from there, because she just squishes them or eats them. There is some celery growing in that little brown tub. And here's the spiky caterpillars that have been munching on my rhubarb leaves. I have never ever had caterpillars munch on my rhubarb. So I don't know where they got the memo, but apparently they've invaded this year. And then we've got the blackberry twine there. It's got a couple of strands growing, so it needs a good plaiting. And cucumbers looking good. Like I say, they could be picked now, and then that'll just give the plant a little bit more of a boost with the newer fruits at the top here. But like I say, I don't want to be picking them when I've still got cucumbers in the house, and I've got no plan for them yet. That little tomato plant there, it was one that got snapped, so I just left it, and the new shoots have begun to grow. I doubt we'll get any tomatoes off it, but we've got plenty of tomatoes there anyway. I've even been really, really bad with my potatoes and not been filling the bags as they've been growing. So sweet peas are ready to be picked. They have dried and crisped. They're all ready. And the potatoes that are in the alley are ready for emptying out. But that's a job for another day. We've done enough for now. So yeah, we've rescued what we can for the time being. I hope you've enjoyed this little video. I will never be polished and perfect. It is what it is. Sometimes the garden gets neglected. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.